He's an up-and-comer that does our Pints and Punchline series. Put your hands together for Micah Jeffries.
How we doing, everyone? Good? Feeling good? All right. It's kind of sticky. So I'm from Columbia. I do comedy all around Missouri. It's my first time doing the Blue Note, so I'm very excited to be up here. How are we all feeling? Good? Y'all ready to see Ryan? Yeah, he's awesome. I've been talking to him for the last half hour. He's really awesome. So I'm very excited to hear his set as well. I'm gonna start off with a little question for everybody. Do y'all remember the Alamo? Yeah? I remember the Alamo specifically because the last time I was there, it was very informative for me. I found out that you can get a service dog for having diabetes. Do you know that? Yeah, you can get a service dog for having diabetes. I don't know what it really does. Like 3 barks means probably eat a cracker or something. I don't really know. If you didn't know that, don't feel bad. Glad you like that. If you didn't know that, don't feel bad. The security guard at the Alamo had no clue. He's like, dude, get your dog out of the Alamo. Davy Crockett died here. Show some respect, man. My wife has been reading through the Harry Potter series recently again, and I was thinking about this. Do you think they had gen ed classes at Hogwarts? Like math science stuff that we all learn? Like, if they didn't, what do you have? A bunch of superpowered idiots? Like, sure, Harry can conjure the Patronus charm, but he's also a flat earther. That's not helpful. Or if they do, could you imagine how underwhelming it would be to be like the math teacher at Hogwarts? Like, yeah, this guy over here will teach him how to fight a werewolf. This guy will teach him how to brew a potion to bring someone back to life. And then Greg over here is going to teach him the Pythagorean theorem. People hate Greg. Greg's the worst. Man. We've been watching through a bunch more scary movies recently, getting into the Halloween theme, getting into the feeling. Recently watched Annabelle Creation, one of the Conjuring movies, and a little bit about the movie. The main character is a little girl. She has polio. She doesn't walk so good, as you might imagine. And she gets possessed by a demon about halfway through, and she starts doing things a little out of character for herself, like walking normally, right? And I looked at my wife and I was like, it sucks that she got possessed by that demon, but the demon did kind of cure her polio, right? Like, you gotta weigh your options at that point. What's worse, the demon or the polio? I'm sure FDR would have taken a demon if he could have walked, I'm just saying. Would have made him a much stronger president. Growing up, I wasn't big into scary movies. I was a little bit of a wuss, so I didn't watch too many. I watched a lot of Disney movies growing up. Any Disney fans here? I love Disney. I still love Disney movies. They can have a lot of profound impact on your life. You can learn a lot from Disney movies, more than just an inherent racism. Like some of those movies have real life lessons to them. I remember watching the movie A Bug's Life as a kid, and now every time I see an ant off by himself, I think maybe he's like the little inventor ant, like Flick, off to save the quest, on a quest to save the hill, and then I go and I find it and I kill a grasshopper for no reason. You guys are assholes. Or The Little Mermaid. Because of The Little Mermaid, now every time I see a mute woman, I kiss her on the mouth. Just in case, Just in case. It hasn't worked yet, but man, if eyes could talk, right? I swear. Speaking of possessions from the movie earlier, I've been playing through the newest Pokemon game on the Switch. I used to love playing those games as a kid. And now I get a chance to play them on an actual console. I was very excited. So I got this game. I haven't played in a long time. There's hundreds of Pokemon that have come out that I have no idea who they are. So I'm just going around, trying to catch them all because I want to be the very best. And I come across this one called a phantom. And I tried probably 6 or 7 times to catch this thing. Finally, I catch it, and its Pokédex reads, the phantom is created when the soul of a dead child inhabits a stump. And I'm like, damn, I've just inadvertently been beating the hell out of these dead kids, right? Until I caught one and I took it home with me. I was like, oh, Pokemon's dark now. I didn't realize this is what we're getting for. So it's my first time up here. It's my first time at the Blue Note. As I said, I'm very excited to be here, but a lot of you probably have no idea who I am. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from a very small town, you know. I'm from a very small town in northwest Missouri, 1,300 people, only about 5,000 people in the whole county. A very small town. One cool thing about my hometown, though, is it's the first town in America to be run solely off of wind power. So that's kind of neat, right? There's a big old wind farm right around us. There's about 200 windmills in that wind farm. Supplies a lot of energy to Missouri. But about 5 miles away from us, across the border in Nebraska, is the Cooper Nuclear Power Plant. And there are actually maps that you can find in my hometown that show the blast radius if something were to happen at Cooper. We'd all be dead, you know? I don't think that's fair, right? I don't think that's really fair. We're here doing the wind thing, and we can still, we have a better chance than most to die in a meltdown. That's not fair, right? Like, it'd be like the guy who rides his bike to work every day getting hit by a Tesla. Like, come on, man. My hometown, though, it's an interesting place. Being as remote as it is, you can imagine it's pretty difficult to get teachers to come and stay, you know? So if they do, yeah, they can pretty well get away with murder, and they're going to keep their job. It doesn't really matter. Like, I watched a teacher throw a kid's phone out a second-story window and keep his job. I had a teacher let me take his car to McDonald's during class. He kept his job. But one of my least favorite teachers from back home got fired recently for something he should have. And I'm very proud of my school for getting rid of him. Me and this guy, we never really saw eye to eye, you know. He was a real pompous asshole, and I didn't care for him. He had this tradition whenever he handed out tests. He would walk up to people and hand them a test and say, good luck, and shake their hand, you know, very pompous. And that never sat well with me. So one day, as a sophomore, I'm not proud of this, but one day as a sophomore, I licked my hand before he got to me. Right? And I'm not proud of this, but he noticed it immediately, and he was pissed. You know, he immediately gave me a week of detention, and I understand that, you know? And then he just sat there and stewed and stared at me the whole time we're taking this test. Until finally he goes, you know, you can either take that week of detention, or you can let me spit in your face right now. Right? I know I was the shithead 10th grader at that point, but he was the adult in that situation. He should have known better. I don't know if you've ever pushed a teacher to the point that they're like, I'm gonna go to prison, but I hate this kid. You've won that situation, I'm just saying. And honestly, looking back at it, man, I wish I'd let that dude spit in my face. Like, the lawsuit, they would still be paying me. Are you kidding me? Oh, every year I'd be like, oh, remember that time that they spit in my face? Cash that check. Like, I don't care. Oh, great. Another real big thing about me, big thing about my history is both of my parents are pastors. Both of them. My older brother, also a pastor. He married a woman who is also a pastor. And then there's me, and I do this. As you can tell, performance art runs very deep in our family. We're big into the performance. You don't grow up with that life, though, without learning a bit about the Bible and things. My name, Micah, itself is a book in the Bible. Some of you probably didn't know that, heathens. But it is. The book of Micah is known for two things mostly. This was the first book where it foretold that Jesus was going to be born in Bethlehem, so that's cool, I guess. And also, it's known for the verse Micah 6:8, which is, "What does the Lord require of you? To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God." And my mom used to like to joke, Micah likes to walk humbly with his God and nobody else. Just a nice way to tell strangers this kid doesn't get along with people. Thanks, Mom. We just met this person. I appreciate that. But yeah, knowing a bit about the Bible makes me look at things differently. Like, if you know anything about the story of Noah, the Lord flooded the earth, killed off a bunch of people, then sent a rainbow afterwards to say that he would never do it again. And so now every time I see a rainbow, I'm kind of like, it's the Lord being like, I can do it again. I'm not gonna, but I could. Just remember that. But when I was a kid, I always had my favorite Bible stories, and I still have a favorite Bible story, but it's far different than the ones that I learned as a kid. When I was a kid, I would always be a fan of like the stuff I learned on VeggieTales and whatnot, but this story is definitely not made for VeggieTales specifically. My favorite story is only 3 verses long, but there's so much content in those 3 verses. So the story is about the prophet Elisha. He comes out of the city of Bethel, and it says that some kids come out of the city and they start cheering him. They say, "Go on up, you bald head." And me with my receding hairline, I kind of get why he's pissed, but I think maybe old Elisha takes it a step too far, right? So it says that he curses these children in the name of the Lord. And then depending on which version you read, it'll say 2 bears, or it'll specify 2 she-bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the kids. Yeah. So this leaves me with a lot of questions. First off, who thought the bears were the right call? Was that God first, or was that Elisha just super pissed off, like, fuck these kids, bears? Secondly, I don't know why they specified she-bears versus bears. I assume it's probably some translator back in the day going through this, like, gets to the story, wow, this is a bad one. Seems like something only 2 ladies would do, am I right? Last off, 42 kids, right? That seems like a lot, right? 42 kids? What is that, like 40 or 21 and 21 or 20 and 22? I don't know how it broke down. One of them could have been carrying the team. I don't really know. But that just seems like a lot of kids. Ma'am, if you were a bear filled with divine retribution, how many children could you murder? No clue, exactly. But 42 seems like a lot, right? Doesn't it? I would think so. And isn't the old saying, I don't actually have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you? 42 kids had never heard that, apparently. But my favorite part of this whole story is the 3rd verse, because all that shit happens in 2 verses. The Bible's crazy, man. The 3rd verse says, "From then he went on to Mount Carmel." Like he just left. Like he sees this like sea of dead children and the bears give him a thumbs up and he's like, all right, my job here is done, and he dips. I love it. It's the best story. Honestly, it would make a great VeggieTales though, I'm just saying. Do you imagine? All right, I don't have too much more to say before I get Ryan up here. I got one more thing for you. I found out that I was going to be doing this when I was at the gym. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, like, Micah, why do you go to the gym? You're obviously in peak physical condition. But I go because my parents, along with being pastors, are also diabetics. And I don't really want diabetes myself at this point. But I feel as though if I do get it, I'm going to get a new dog. So that's cool, right? Things are looking up for Micah. All right. Are you ready to get to your headliner? Probably seen this guy on America's Got Talent. He is very funny. Let me see if I can move this for a second. All right, perfect. Give it up for Ryan E. Miller. Excuse me.